You spoke about that when you act in humility, there's no fighting. Why, if someone is in a state of humility?
Let's take, for example, today. Were we to put into action the force of humility, we have enough what to live off. We can really give everyone all they need in life for food, sex, family, everything. Arrange a person's life completely. I'm not talking about giving him different sources of joy and fulfillment in life, but I'm talking about the normal life. Today, people are working. I see people, they come out at 6 a.m. With a cup of coffee, dragging their small child, putting him in kindergarten, taking that cup of coffee to work, coming back in the evening, even coming back with his cup. It's a special cup, so it won't pour in the, so he won't spill anything in the car. He comes back with that same cup. He came out, he left at 6 a.m., he comes back at 8 p.m. And you can see in the offices that 8 p.m., it's not the end yet. According to the lights that are on, people are still working and working and working. What does he have, all in all, as a result of his entire life dedicating it to work? What?
Money, pride.
No, wait a second. He arranged for himself certain goals that it seems to him that by achieving these goals, he fulfills his life, he enjoys. All in all, there's no joy, there's no fulfillment of the goals, but he simply kind of runs around his tail because that's how he was taught to do, like everyone else. By this, I see our pride bringing us all in all to a state where we fulfill ourselves, we fulfill life with different businesses, engagements that there's actually no need for them per se, but to kind of drown us in this whirlpool. So the way I see that pride is working in us, what's good about it? I don't see that people are getting any happier, that they're coming to some nice good goal. No, they can't educate their children. The children, throw them into the nursery and so on, and then kindergarten, and there's barely any connection with the kids, and it's all frustration. We see that it's called that man's pride will humiliate him.
On the one hand, but this same pride is what draws to advance. We want to be better. We want to succeed. It causes us to develop.
What, for example? How are we more happier than the previous generation?
I don't know if we're happier, but today,
Wait a second. If so, then how do we check the meaning of life? The intensity of life, the feeling of life, vitality. How? According to how much I run around, according to how much I'm all. How? What does life consist of today? We're reaching a state where I don't need a family. I don't have time for it. And a woman doesn't have time for it. She doesn't want to get married. Altogether, we have reached an artificial state, extremely artificial, where all that we had throughout the years of history, that we needed to exist this way. Family, children, educating them, getting them married, all this. First of all, that has to be. This process has to continue. These incarnations have to be. I live, give birth. They live, give birth, and so on. We, humans, today, are bringing a stop to the human continuity, because today we're reaching a state that, first of all, if we have children, then it's one child. Secondly, we only half the people get married and have children, half don't. Meaning humanity is rapidly decreasing. I'm not saying whether it's good or bad, but the phenomenon is that we're going against life, against the natural process that's supposed to be. And it started especially in our generation. Well, suppose 50 years ago. And it follows that here we have reached a kind of a deviation, mutation, distortion, cancer, which developed out of the as if healthy development, because we thought about reaching good things. We thought about traveling in space and developing good things for everyone. We thought that everyone will have everything. We don't see that we're progressing there. These mutations, they come back in the form of the education system working against us, health system working against us. They sell us what they feel like. Now they're also selling us drugs, meaning we're undergoing some kind of a mutation. Our pride, the lack of humility, brings us to the general destruction. What could humility give us? Humility meaning for us to learn, study the laws of nature and try and keep them. Because the laws of nature, they're absolute laws. We can't understand that I can't jump outside of Earth's gravitational force formula. I can't do something against the laws of electricity. There are laws that are absolute, and I have to keep them. And nonetheless, while I keep them, I destroyed them in one way or another towards others, and eventually against myself, like with food and everything else. But there are laws in nature which belong to human development, which are laws that are more concealed, that we don't exactly know them, because we're not pinpointed enough in our vision to see them. We've developed a bit in our psychology from Freud until the 60s, suppose, or 70s of the last millennia. It was the 60, 70 years of psychological development, and that's it. We can't develop more. There is no more psychology. We can't get deeper in because our attitude, our approach is egoistic. Were we to work more humbly, then we would have participated with nature, we would have decreased our ego, would have lowered ourselves to a level where we would like to go in everything, with everything, only according to the laws of nature, and then we would benefit big time. What does it mean? Let's learn from animals. An animal takes only what it needs. That's it. They don't have they don't store anything. If there's like a bone for the future, like we call it, like with a dog or something, these are small things, but actually, no. An animal doesn't have to store and accumulate different things. It doesn't have to build a castle, but it's enough what it needs. It's enough for it. a doghouse for a dog and it's enough, or a hole in the ground, or living in a tree. Very simple, very natural. We have to do what's good, natural for a person, and not to look at each other who has more. We have to do the same with food. What's good according to our bodies, and that's it. And to educate us in that direction. We have to do what's good for human society, for the relations between us, that we don't eat each other. To lower and lower and develop humility, to bring, to lower ourselves to the level of man on the animate level. It's not going back to the jungles, but it is in a form that is called rational, to the level to which we bring ourselves down from the degree of pride and condescending to the level which is called humility. As much as we lower ourselves in this entire depth that we go into, by that we start feeling out of the humility the law of nature that's operating on us. We start getting to know it, acknowledging it. The level from which we come down from pride to humility, this is our vessel, the means, the instrument and tool to get to know nature. Why did it develop us? Why did we develop to such a great pride? In order, together with it, to be in humility in our materialistic life. And then we start attaining the operating force in nature from that level. Now, at this point, or from this point, let's look at our development. Nature wants to all the time show us, through blows, that we do not develop correctly. All the time. All the time we want to show that your place is to be cleaved on to me, not to distance yourself, but to lower you necessarily, forcefully, through an effort, through a collective effort, collective for everyone. There are many things about how you bring pride down to the level of humility, but this is what nature constantly teaches us, and accordingly gives us blows. And this is what we have to learn from that. Therefore, it's not simply the extent of humility that is a good and nice level, and it's not simply so that the sages said that it is the greatest and most important quality, but specifically through attaining humility. By that, we penetrate nature and we feel the inner engine which has developed our pride, our ego. And then, specifically by our ego, that we work against it and bringing it down, we start acknowledging the inner force of nature, and then we get into the internality of nature, and we achieve a different life.
What is it good for me as a person to get to know this engine?
I achieve a balanced life in this world like I live here, and besides that, I enter a new dimension.
And what is it good for me?
I achieve eternity. I become eternal like the whole of nature. I become whole and complete. I no longer associate myself with the animate level, that this is how my body is, and I no longer associate myself with the corrupted being, human being, that the only thing about him is the pride. But because you turned my great pride into great humility, by this I achieve the new dimension.
Then what? I'm happier in it? I'm better off?
Perfect fulfillment, the total achievement of everything.